I wonder if you can see me because I can't actually see you. We're just about to go live for our first webinar of the new year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly check on our website if you can see me now. So bear with me for just a moment and I'm going to check if you can see me. And then we'll be all ready to go. I'm just loading. This is all part of the magic of technology. I'm just going to play here on another screen. So apologies if you hear me in stereo. So we're going to give it a few minutes for those people who are just about to join us because I'm making it 7:30 UK time right on the button. My computer is just slowly loading. So we're going to see if we can see me in a second. In the meantime, whilst I'm just checking out that we're working well and comfortably, I just want to welcome all of you who are tuning in this evening, whether you're tuning in here in the UK, I know some people tune in from overseas and abroad, wherever it is that you're listening to us from. Thank you very much. And a very, very happy new year to you. I just want to say happy new year. Hope you're having fun, hoping you're having a good time. I'm just going to reload the video in the meantime on my computer screen. I hope you can see me. Let's just see, I'm just checking this out right now. Oh, the magic of technology is fun, isn't it? But yeah, just say Happy New Year. If you want to, actually, just whilst I'm just checking that, here are some of the things that you're going to need for today if you're keen to write things down. You might find it handy to grab your diary or your phone. You might want to grab a notebook and so or just a pen and paper so you can take some notes. This evening's going to be fun. The webinar is going to run between now and for approximately 45 minutes until 8:15. So you'll be away in time to have your dinner if you're having a late dinner, such as myself today. Okay, I'm having a problem loading it on my computer, but I'm hoping that you should be able to see me because we're broadcasting and we should be live. I might try that again in another window in just a while. But good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm really, really grateful for you being here. I'm mindful you're taking up some time. So here we are, 2016, start of a new year. And it's quite an interesting time, isn't it? Because there can be all those pressures to set goals, set resolutions for the year ahead, know where it is that you're going, have all these plans, dreams, and aspirations. But what's really important is that you take a step back and you stop and think what's most important to you. And one of the reasons why so many people fail when it comes to New Year's resolutions is that they're setting goals and dreams that are actually somebody else's, and they're doing the things that they feel that they have to do in terms of the things that they should do. And often that they're not holistic. They don't stop and think about what's really important to me in my whole life, not just that I want to lose some weight or give up something or what have you. You really need to step back and ask yourself what's really important to you. So the first thing I'm going to just invite you to do is just stop for a second. And I just want to invite you to just think a little bit about the journey that you've been on in your life to date. So what is it that got you to here 1, 2, 3, 4 decades in? Just want you to really reflect a little bit on the journey that is that you've already been on. What have been your main learnings in life? Maybe it is that you've been through a few different careers. Maybe it is that you've recently started being your own boss. Maybe it is that there have been a few turns, twists, and changes. I've been sitting with people this year, and just in fact this week, a couple of people have been in their own business for a number of years, and there's changes. I've been chatting to somebody who just started their own business last year. I've been chatting to a couple of friends who are just wanting to change their career. And just to say here this evening that whether it is that you're looking at this through the lens of your life generally or your career, you're most welcome. You're going to get some benefit. All of the tips and tools that I share are going to be relevant for you, whether it is that you're in business or whether it is that you're relating this to your career and your life balance generally. All of the stuff that we're going to be sharing is going to be relevant for you. So I'm really just glad that you're here. So if there's any of that stuff that we've just touched on that's useful for you, just write it down. But let's get stuck in. So our theme is hopes, goals and dreams in 2016. And I want to just share a few pointers, first of all, that are really, really important. I want to kind of tackle this in reverse. The dreams bit. You know, dreaming is all very well, but it's not the whole picture. You know, if you're just wishing and you're hoping for things to happen, they may not happen because you're going to need to put in some work, some effort in order to make them happen. Now, that may sound really, really obvious to you, but it's absolutely really, really essential to know. You know, because if you don't put in any work or any effort, it's not likely to happen. If you think about anything that you're wanting to make, you need to put some effort in. So that's the first thing I want to say. But it's really important to be wishful and hopeful, and to have that kind of that energy in your heart, because without dreaming, you know, nothing would be. You know, without dreaming, you wouldn't have moved from your first career to your second career. Nothing probably would have happened if it is that you didn't believe in who it is that you are. So I think that's an important thing just to say, to kick us off. You know, that it's so important for you to believe in who it is that you are. And what it is that you're wanting to do. I meet so many people. In fact, I was just with somebody yesterday, and she works for a company, and she's thinking about starting her own business, and she's got a really good idea, and she's just was saying to me, oh, but I'm not sure this will happen or that will happen, or, you know, am I just being really unrealistic? And with that kind of mindset, you're not even going to allow yourself to go on the path of being it that you're wanting to change career, or you're wanting a new relationship, or anything. So it's really important to have that hopefulness in your spirit. So that's the bit about dreams. It's really important to dream, to allow yourself to dare to dream. And whether it is that you're starting out something, or whether it is that you've been in business for a really long time, or in your career for a long time, it's really important just to allow yourself to begin to continue to think, actually, where is it that I want to be? What is it that I'm wanting to achieve? And just let that be and breathe. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, when it comes to goals, I want to talk just a little bit of goal setting, but I'm wanting to make this really, really relevant for you. What people often do when it comes to things like New Year's resolutions is that they will often set one resolution in one area. Going to lose weight, going to do this, going to do that, going to do that. That's all very well, but actually the chances are that you're going to be more successful if you actually think holistically and strategically about where it is that you are in your life. So one of the things that I invite you to do is to think about your life in 3 compartments. And this is one of the things that you'll find in the Soul Trader book, or those of you who've read it, or anyone that's been coached by me. So if you want to do this, you could take a piece of paper and you could divide it into 3 columns: life, career, relationships. Ask yourself, what's most important to you in life? What's most important to you when it comes to career? What's most important to you when it comes to relationships? And even if you've done this before, it could be really useful. I often like get people to write 6 to 10 words in each category. This is what's important in life. This is important, what's important to me in career or business. And this is what's important in relationships. Sit with that. You know, look at those words. Ask yourself what they specifically mean. And just begin to think about what would your life look like and be like if those things were in place in your life. What would those things be like or look like if they were there in your business and your career and in relationships? And then what I invite you to do is perhaps set yourself one goal for what you're wanting to achieve in your personal life. It might well be relating to a relationship. It might well be at home. It might be that you're wanting to address things in your health and well-being. Maybe one goal in your career, maybe like the person I was, a good friend of mine is wanting to change career in one field to another field. So that's his career goal for this year. Maybe you're wanting to set yourself one goal, in relationships area. So the life area is probably going to be very much you on things you're wanting to do. Career, business area, something related to your business. And in the relationships area. You can have more than that, but I think if you're not sure what you're wanting to do, and if you're wanting to be really, really focused, it can be really good to just have this one goal in each of those areas, that overall goal. Okay, I'm going to move my business from this size, making this amount of profit, to that size, in terms of that amount of profit. I think then, as they say, then you need to be really kind of smart and specific about those goals. Somebody's given me a call, and I can't speak to them right now. So you need to be really, really specific. But the key thing is starting by being strategic, and we're being holistic. So you even thinking about those 3 areas is really, really, really going to help you. Okay. So now, if those of you, I'm going to spend a little bit of time breaking this into two categories. Those of you who are thinking about this in terms of your career, and those of you who are thinking about this in terms of your business. I want to deal with the business side of things first. If you're thinking about your business and goals for your business, it can be really useful, again, thinking about threes. Setting yourself financial goals, setting yourself goals that relate to your marketing, and goals that relate to your management and operation. If you think those are the three main columns of your business, the three main things that keep your business working. So you might think, okay, this year my goal for the business is to turn the turnover from 30K to 40K, or from 100K to 150K, whatever it might well be. You've got to think appropriately about what that goal is going to be for you, whether it is that you're going for something ambitious, but you've got the drive and the wherewithal or the capacity to achieve it, or whether you want to go for something far more modest because realistically you're still working part-time and that's all you can do. Be mindful about that when you're setting that particular goal. You've got to know what your level of ability is, but you've also got to allow yourself to dream. So I think that it's often somewhere you've got to know where the aspiration is and what the perspiration is likely to be as well. So goal for your finance, goal for your marketing, that might be about the type or nature of clients, and some goals for management operations. Okay, I'm wanting to bring in a part-time member of staff. So for example, I've got a client of mine, she runs her own PR business, and she set herself a financial goal, and she set a goal for bringing in a member of staff, which is in terms of the operations side and the management side, and she set herself some particular marketing goals of some of the things that she's wanting to achieve and the clients that she wants. Great, that's it. So there you are, you've got your holistic goals. Perhaps in terms of your career, if you're thinking about this in terms of your career, again, I want you to just think about, well, first of all, where is it that you actually want to be? Is it that you've got a very clear idea of what it is that you're wanting to do, or is it that you need to give yourself time to consider where it is that you're wanting to be? So I've got another client who I coach, she's in her career, and actually she wants to be in a new job by June. So new job, doing X by June. So you've got to be specific. What is it? In other words, what is your goal? Where, when, and where do you want it? Where and when do you want it? Okay, I'm wanting a new job in the south of England area by June in a management or X kind of role. So you're very clear and you're very specific. Because once you're clear and specific about the goal, you can begin to put the steps in place. And you can apply that same approach in terms of the other areas of your life. When it comes to things like some of the personal things that involve other people, it can be a little bit more tricky. Some things can be out of your control. So, some things in terms of relationships, you can perhaps control the things that relate to you, but you may not be able to control some of those external factors. And that brings us on to another key element here when it comes to goals and goal setting, because lots of people feel, well, it's not worth me setting goals, it's not realistic because it doesn't happen, or, this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. And, it's important for us to know and be very honest about that there are no guarantees in life, there are no certainties in life. I say this to people all the time, there are no guarantees and no certainties. That's the nature of it. There's none. We come and we go. There are ups and there are downs. And there's something about embracing that we come and we go, and that there are ups and the downs, that can be really, really, really useful. I'm going to pause there, and I'm just going to say that if you've got any questions for our webinar tonight, you can post them over on our Facebook channel. So if you've got a question, just post it on our Facebook channel. And how you can do that is, if you're watching this on the site at the moment, and you just cast down the text, you'll see a link that says how to tune in and join in. And you can therefore follow the link to our Facebook channel, and I'll check that, and I'll just see if there's any questions that you've posted, and I'll read any of those out later on. Okay. So what we've talked about so far is, first of all, we've said, first of all, stop, give yourself credit for where it is that you are already in your life and the journey that it is that you've been on. And then I talked a little bit about how often the pressure can be to set goals and dreams that are actually somebody else's. I should be losing weight, I should be doing this, and so on, putting that to one side. And then we've talked a little bit about being holistic, looking at all of your areas of your life. So perhaps one goal for your personal life, one goal for your career, or your business, and one goal for your relationships. If you're more adept with goals, you might want more. But if you're somebody who finds that you get overwhelmed or you don't follow through, then I really recommend that less is more, because then you'll really be able to check whether you're actually on track or not. So less is more there when it comes with goals. And then the last thing that I was talking about there, we are live and we are working. I've just taken a look on our screen, so that's really good. And then the last thing I want to say about that particular element, and the last thing I was saying rather, was this point about there are no guarantees in life, there are no certainties in life. Because very often I meet so many people who want things to happen, but they're second guessing what is happening. Oh, I'm not sure about this. What about that? What if this happens? There's no guarantees. I have a saying that your job is to do your job with all your heart to the best of your ability. Life will go its own merry way at its own merry pace. But if you do, then you and life will be the better for it. You know, and so there's something here as you're thinking about goals and setting goals that you really need to step back and ask yourself, who is it that I am? What is it that I'm really about? What is it that's really dearest to my heart? You know, I like to practice what I preach when it comes to this stuff. And I'll often step back and I'll actually often think, you know, what is it that is most important to me? You know, what is it that is most dear to me? What is it I'm really, really wanting to do? So there's something about goals here as you're setting them that, you know, sometimes goals are good to have, I say, sometimes they're good to hold on to, and sometimes start letting go of them. So you've really got to know how it is that you operate. So you're going to find as you listen to this, I'm going to be throwing a number of different things at you. It's a really good thing to know what kind of a person that you are. Are you somebody who responds well or needs goals? And someone, person I was coaching yesterday, she's the kind of person who responds very well to goals. If she's got goals in place, she gives her focus and she tends to follow through. She tends to be quite a methodical kind of person, and it keeps her on track. Otherwise, she feels as though she's not on track. You might be in a completely different space in your life. I was coaching yesterday somebody who runs a very successful clinic in central London, very revered place of central London, successful clinic, wonderful clients. She works very, very intuitively. She finds that being too bogged down with goals doesn't work with her. For her, it's far more about her being centered. It's far more about her connection with herself. It's far more about her sense of faith and of well-being and so on. So it's really important to be mindful about these things. And there are a few things that sit around goals that people often don't talk about goals that will be very, very useful for you. For me, one of the first starting points is being still and silent. So, you know, in the same way that I first of all asked you to just pause and to reflect, life and your ongoing life, the starting point for me, as far as I'm concerned, is rest. If you haven't had time to rest, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough time for you to nurture your spirit, then the energy is not going to be there, the motivation is not going to be there, and even if you're there, you're not going to be present, or you're going to be grumpy, and people are going to be able to spot those things, or you're going to seem desperate. So easy to fall into that trap in life. So it's really important to put in time for you. And again, with this client that I was working on, and funny enough, on paper, our plan was first of all to sit down and look at some very specific goals related to her team. But actually, she'd had a very busy time. There'd been a lot of things going on for her. And actually, we realized that the first starting point should actually be time for her. And that's exactly what we did. So we looked at the time for her to rest, the time for some creative things that she wanted to do, and then we put in some other goals. And that was so powerful. Throughout the session, she became more energized. So in terms of your diary that you may well have, whether it's a paper diary like mine, or whether it's an online diary you have on one of these phone kind of things, put in the time for you. Put in time for things that you love to do and loved ones too. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Again, with the other client I was talking about yesterday in her career, we did the same thing. There are a few things this year that she wants to do. She's planning to move home. She's got a major wedding to attend overseas and some other things that she wanted to do. So we put those things in the diary first. So put in the you time first. Another thing that might well be useful for you if you're goal setting and all of this kind of stuff is in the Soul Trader book if you're interested in reading up more about that, or some of you've got it and might want to review it. But it can be really useful sometimes to, instead of thinking about the year as a whole, you know, it's one thing, it can be good to divide it up into 4 quarters. So again, I was coaching another client of mine, and we thought, okay, these are the things that I'm wanting to achieve between now and March. These are the things I'm wanting to achieve between April and June. These are the things I'm wanting to achieve between July and September. These are the things I'm wanting to achieve between October and December. And that might help you to break things into chunks. It might be that the things that you're wanting to achieve might require a longer period of time. Maybe you're wanting to retrain. You're wanting to go from X field to Y field. It might be that instead of having goals for 2016, you might want to have a 3-year plan, 5-year plan, as organizations do, and then to break that down. So that's the thing about setting goals. But I also want to talk about, I talked about space. I also want to talk about another important thing beginning with S. I talked about stillness, but I want to talk about one more thing beginning with S. And that's support. It's the thing about cooperation that I mentioned in the Soul Trader book. And very often I meet so many people and coach so many people who are struggling because they're wanting to make things happen, or they're on their journey, or they're running their business, or they're busy in their career, but they can't cope. And it might be at a point, you're at a point where you actually just need some help in all sorts of different forms. The person who, one of the people I was coaching the other day that I mentioned, who was a client of mine, for her it's actually a case of she's hired staff because she's well established in her business, and she's doing well financially, but actually lots of things that she doesn't really like doing, and lots of other things that other people could do. She's lucky in a way that she's got the finance to fund that, but that still requires courage and clarity about what do I want to do, what things don't I want to do. But regardless, whatever stage you are in your life, your career, you might need all sorts of different help. It might be just help in terms of your career, and you need somebody to look at your CV. You're planning to change career. English isn't your first language, or grammar isn't your greatest strength. Who are the people that you need? Maybe you need somebody to look at your CV. Maybe you need somebody to kind of advise you on shifting from this field to another field. Who are the people you know in your network at the moment, and where are the gaps in terms of your expertise? Really, all of the stuff that we're talking about today is talking about captain of your own ship. You are the captain of the ship, whether you believe that or not. You know, you are the captain of the ship of you. It's your job to get to safe harbor. Nobody else's job. Nobody else is necessarily going to do it. Nobody else necessarily has the skills to do it. But you're not going to have all those skills. So it's really worth thinking about, okay, these are the things I have. These are the things that I need. So that might be really useful. And again, one of the exercises I get people to do in my workshops, and I may have talked about this on some of the other webinars that if you've been on them before, is perhaps writing a list of things I have and I need. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper here. And on the left, I'm writing the words I have. And on the right, I'm writing the words I need. Okay? You might be able to see this. My computer's not working very well at the moment. So left, I have. Right, I need. And just write a list of all the things, mindful of the goals that we've talked about. What are all the things that you have in life? And what are the things that you need? So you might think, okay, I've got a qualification in this, I've got a roof over my head, I've got £3,000, $3,000 in the bank, I have a passion for this, I've got this, and this, and I need to research this particular area if I'm wanting to become a manager in this field, or need to research online business because I'm planning to run an online business. I need to find out about registering a company. I need this, I need 4 clients, all paying me this amount per year. List all the things that you have and that you need. And we're talking about resources, information, contacts, and so on, which is going to help your mind become focused. Because as I often say in these things, there are 2 things that are going on. There's your mind, your head. Your head wants the specifics. Where are we going? How am I going to get there? Does this make sense? How am I going to plan? Can I make a living out of this? Can I really genuinely move from this field to that field? That's the mind. The mind goes on and on and on, and it does need to be on it. And then there's your heart. Your heart wants to just do that. That's authentic to you. So what we're talking about here is honoring both of those things. And that's a really simple I have and I need exercise that will help you identify what it is that you need. And then you can start to think about, okay, who are the people who I know. Courage is really, really important. It's one of the things in the Soul Trader book. The person who I was coaching, one of the people I was coaching yesterday, who's planning to set up their own business and they're employed at the moment, she knows all sorts of people who could possibly help her, but she's double guessing herself about whether they will help her or not. Don't be afraid to ask people who care about you to help. The key thing, to my mind, is what are the different type of expertise that you need and who is best to help for what. So family are going to be probably good about family-related stuff. They're not necessarily going to be good about business-related stuff unless they happen to be in business. So think very carefully about who you ask for what particular advice. Have you got that expertise within your network, or do you need to go out networking? If you need to go out networking to build contacts, and at most stages, for example, if you're wanting to build a business, then it makes sense to do some networking. I've got a friend who's moving from one area to another, and he started looking online, events in this new field, and before he knew it, he'd gone to 2 or 3 networking events, and other events emerged off the back of that. He met some people in the talent department, and now he's already had a few interviews for a new job role in a completely different field based on who he is. So sometimes you do need to go out there and make new connections, but equally sometimes you need to go out there and mine your existing connections. Those of you who are in business already, I think it's really important also to kind of consolidate what you're doing and think what's already working well, what are the things I can build on, and what are the things I need to do more of. Okay, I'm going to pause that there because I've given you a lot to take on board. And so I'm just going to kind of prompt you with a couple of things to do to consolidate what it is that we've already done. Okay. So it might be that first of all, you're at the goal stage. Think about what's that goal that you want for your life, for your career or your business, and for your relationships. Pause this at any time if you want to pause it. Or if you're watching it live, then you're not going to be able to pause me actually without missing something, but you might want to just kind of make a note of that and then come back to it. But if you're watching this on playback, and by the way, if you've caught only part of this, you can see this on playback either on our YouTube channel or on the soultrader.biz website page where you're watching this, to scan down the page. So again, set those goals and put a little bit of time in your diary for when you're going to do that. That's a key thing here. You might be watching this thing, oh yeah, that's not very well and good, but when you're going to follow up on it. So we've talked about setting your goals. We've also talked about setting aside some time for you. One of the people who I was talking about who we needed to put in some time for her own relaxation, I got her to find her diary and to put on her online diary. She's got an online diary, the times when every Saturday or whatever that she's going to take up for her, and to put as a recurring thing. So we've talked about the you time. We've talked about being still and creating space. And then we talked about the support. What's it that you have and what is it you need? And doing that very simple exercise. It might be within your network or outside of your network. But don't be afraid to go out there and ask for help. I find it really fascinating, this world at the moment of so much interconnection and social media and so on, and LinkedIn, Twitter and so on, that people still find themselves isolated. So approach people with a good heart, and you might say, look, this is what I'm doing and this is the journey I'm on, and would you be able to spend 5-10 minutes with me? It might be something you don't know, or it might well be something that it is that you do know. But what you've got to do is select the right people for the journey that you're on. I always say that it's really good to think about your life as a ship, and you don't want people who are going to rock the boat on the ship. You want people with the right skills, but also with the right heart, that they're not going to rock the boat and that they're going to get on well as a crew. So it's really pretty much as simple as that. You don't need to know all the steps that you're going on. There's going to be all sorts of uncertain things along the journey, and there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be probably some storms and fair days and challenging days that you wish you hadn't set to see, but that's life. I want to pause there and just talk a little bit about some of the, as we move into the final third of this, some of those kind of more difficult things. So we've talked a bit about hopes, goals and dreams, but I want to talk about some of the uncertainties, some of the things that can emerge, fears and doubts and so on. Again, going back to the fact that we're at the start of the year, one of the things that can happen is that people start their New Year's goals and their resolutions, and then they get stuck I'm a big fan of playing squash and tennis, and usually I play squash very early on the weekend. So I arrived to play squash. Normally we don't need to book because we arrived so early. But on this particular day, because it was January, all the courts are full. They'd never been full before. But of course, in a few weeks' time, they're probably not going to be full because people have fallen off their New Year's resolution. And the question is that, you know, sometimes that we're not realistic enough, or we don't, we expect too much of ourselves. What is it that's going to make you kind of stay on course? It's important to know that, really, to acknowledge that there's going to be ups and downs, some days that you're going to be motivated and some days that you're not motivated, or that personal things can get in the way. I know a few people who've had to be carers, who are carers. You might be somebody who your own health is really an issue. I coach somebody, and their health and well-being is something they need to be very mindful of, and they need to manage very, very carefully. So it's really important that you, don't beat yourself up, and you allow some space for knowing that there are these kind of realities in life. Life is not about just having a set of goals. These goals and so on are there to be a support to you, not to hamper you. So there might be times where you just put all of those goals to one side. So this is the thing when I say it's important to know what kind of a person that you are. I'm the kind of person who likes to work quite intuitively. But I do also have, you know, the business plan, the career plan, the kind of things that I've talked about, and that I talk about, the career planning. And those of you who do want some documentation, that there is a 2-page business plan template in my Sole Trader book, for example. And those of you in terms of your career, you could easily use that, adapt that, or just come up with, okay, here's my career, here's where I am now, and here are my goals for this year, next year, and so on. Create your own plan yourself. But as I say, there's going to be all sorts of things that go on all the time. And there might be times where you think, actually, you know what, I need to deviate from that list. It's a bit like sometimes when you go shopping, you might have a list, but sometimes you might want to deviate from that list. Sometimes you might want something different. Sometimes you might find the lists that you have very, very limiting. And it is so easy to live our lives just as a tick list exercise. But life is not a tick list exercise. Give yourself permission to not do. Give yourself permission to take time out. And it's sometimes these times that can be the making of you, that can give you insight. So say you can't pour more water into a full cup without creating a spillage. And sometimes if your life is really full up, you're not going to allow space for inspiration, new invitations that you can actually take up, meditation or relaxation, new information to come through insight, or innovation. So leaving space is so, so important. And I'm just going to invite you just to take a moment now, just be still, just to close your eyes. Just take a few deep breaths. Just be centered, just be present with yourself. Just notice how you're feeling. Are you feeling relaxed? Are you feeling tired? I was working not long ago with a client of mine who basically is an athlete. And he realized by checking with himself, and he uses the body, that's his business, that he really needed time to relax. And sometimes if you're not doing this, if you're not still enough, you're not going to be aware of where you're at, where your energy levels are at. And all of those goals are just going to fall to one side. So how are you feeling right now? Is it now that you need rest? Is it that you need a break? Is it that you need a holiday? Allow those things. And ask yourself now, what's most important to your life? Because from this inner space, you might get even more clarity and even more simplicity. So ask yourself, what's most important? And if you're feeling at a point of overwhelm, just ask yourself what's most important right now. And that's a really good moment to come back into the here and now. What's the most important right now? So it might be that as we've gone on this journey, you've stepped back, you've been still, you've given yourself a little bit of credit for the journey that you've been on. You've thought a little bit about what's important in life, in your career, in your business, and in relationships. You've scribbled down some things that might be the basis of goals that you might need to return to. Set aside time to do that, even if it's just 10 minutes. But if you've got a big goal, it's going to need to be a big amount of time, some regular bits of time. You've considered that. You've considered the importance of being still. You thought a little bit about the support that it is you need, and that might need you to return to. Now, we talked about this thing about relaxing and really checking in. And if there's a lot going on for you, then what it is that you might need to do is just to focus on one thing that's right important right now. I think actually right now I've been really ill for a period of time. I just need to recuperate. That might be it. Well, you know what? Right now, this is going on at home, and I need to address this and give support to X, Y, or Z. Or right now, the business is a critical point, and we need to generate this amount of business or find this kind of customer. That focal point can be very, very powerful. Think about what's important right now. So it might be time for it for a number of goals, and then time to it's just being really specific and being really zooming in. If you found this interesting, you'll also find that I've done a podcast. All the podcasts are free, and you can find them again on the Soul Trader site. If you go to the homepage, and you'll just see a link to the podcasts and so on. There's one called Your Year Ahead, Step by Step. And again, if you listen to that, it will kind of just help you think, okay, well, step by step, what is that I need to do? So break those goals into chunks. And maybe put milestones in place. Okay, first I need to update my CV. Then I need to talk to my boss about career opportunities. I'll speak to the training department and look outside. Then I need to produce a LinkedIn profile. This is one of the things, this is literally the case for a client I'm working on who's been in a job for 10 years. She's thinking what she wanting to do next. Okay, first of all, she's taking the time to think what she wants. Then she's having a few conversations to explore if she feels the scope within the organisation that she's at. She's realised that she doesn't feel this real willingness to kind of help her develop. There have been some challenges. Okay, then she's given herself a period of time between now and the end of January to update her CV, looked on LinkedIn, create a profile there, and then she's going to have a month or two of job searching, and she set a goal that ideally wants to be in a new job in June, and some other bits and pieces. And within that, we've set her some goals of people who she knows and trusts within her industry who might well be useful to introduce her to contact and so on. So she's got her plan. And you could type that up into a plan if that's a similar scenario for you. It might be something similar in business too. But you've got to finally allow yourself this headspace where you can be strategic so that you can plan and that you can also reflect. And one of the things I advocate in the Soul Trader book is a 10-minute review once a week, where you look at your goals. Where am I now? What have I achieved? Listing the things you've achieved. Always important to celebrate things you've achieved. What are the key things for me to do, and to put them in your diary, practice them so that you've got that, you know, just like an athlete they will have their goals, they will have their training, and they've got their regime. Those are the things that help them to progress. You know, that's the nature of it. But it's important then to know, as we've discussed, that all sorts of things can come along. They come along to throw you off your way. But the magical thing about life is very often that these things are the things that actually make us. The last thing I want to say, as we head into our last 5 minutes or so, is that it's so important to remain true to you. As Shakespeare wrote, "To thine own self be true." You know, it's so important to take that time to tune into yourself and say, what is it that chimes with me? I do this all the time. And even though I'm doing things that are very aligned to what my goals are, I'll check in often and think, okay, does any of this chime with me? What is it truest to me? Because as much as some of the goals that will come from here will be useful for you, sometimes you need to just check in and think, what is it that really chimes with me now? Now it's about this, now it's about that. And that might be really, really simple. Now it's about family, now it's about friendships, now it's about this. Now it's about doing this thing here that I've always wanted to do, or traveling there, or developing my business in such a way. You know, so when you have your goals, really also check in and do they really chime with you? And there's something about this that will mean that the things that you're doing are nutritious, and that you'll always have the energy that you need to move forward and to withstand the ups and downs. It is really going to be difficult to stay on track, to stay motivated, if you are not in line and aligned to your heart. And that's what all this stuff is about, really. And that's what all this Soul Trader stuff is about. And I think as we head into our last 3 or 4 moments, I want to talk about those heart elements of this. As I've said before, no guarantees and no certainties. In life, we come and we go. And the Soul Trader, the person who's working from their heart, the person who's wanting from their career in their heart, takes time to listen to their heart. You might be listening to this, and some people who I've coached over the last year particularly thought, oh my goodness, I'm not listening to my heart. And applaud yourself. This is where it is that it starts. There's something about working from your heart where you will be guided to what it is that you want to know or need to do, or the support that it is that you need. So much of this inner wisdom, inner vision, inner knowledge, insight that we negate. And I want to make one of the webinars in the coming months about this intuitive stuff, because very often I find that when I'm working with people, it's this stuff that whether people have switched onto it already, or whether people are kind of curious about it, that they know that there's something about it. I just want to begin to bring this to a close now, but also point you to some other resources that might well help you if you're on this journey. So just to recap, first of all, it's about being still. Take that time just to step back. What's the journey I've been on? What's already in place? What is it I should be celebrating, giving myself credit for? Might be also that you need a little bit of time to rest and relax. Then we're talking about being strategic and holistic. Okay, what's that I want to achieve in my life, my career, my business, and my relationships? Maybe about just one goal in each area, or if you've got the capacity, it might be a few. Then we talked about, okay, what is it I have? What is it I need in relation to those goals? And what's the support I need? What's the knowledge that I need? What's the crew that I need to help me? And that might take some time, so don't worry if that takes time. In fact, all of these things take time. Sometimes people can look at all this thing and be daunting, but give yourself time. Stagger it over time. You know, you're not gonna eat your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner at one time. So don't approach your life goals or your whole year in that way. And again, we talked about the things that you might want to achieve in each quarter of the year. So just be very, very mindful about that. That's going to help you too. And then we talked about some of this inner stillness, the rest, the times when it's time to let go of the goals and time to just trust your heart. And we talked about taking time to review so that you can improve and that you can fine tune. And with that, I just want to point you to some other things that might well help you on your journey this year, whenever you're listening to this. Those of you who are in business, starting or growing, Check out have a look around this whole soultrader.biz, soul-trader.biz website, and you'll find all sorts of things to do to help you. Podcast, inspiring interviews, articles about various things from marketing to operations to finance elements. We've done webinars in the past, if you scan down this page, and things from pensions to business setup to marketing business, all sorts of stuff. Those of you who are wanting tools and resources related to your career, you'll find them on if you look up the Rashid Ogunlari YouTube channel or on my website, you'll find lots of stuff to help you. And on my Rasaru, R-A-S-A-R-U website, I've also got a store with all sorts of tools to help you. Those of you who are really on the journey are keen to coach yourself, there's a Coach Yourself program on soultrader.biz that might help you. It's quite inexpensive, deliberately so that if you're self-motivated, you can coach yourself. I think it costs about £70, so far less than a coaching session. You can coach yourself over a period of time. That might be all it is that you need to take charge of stuff. I remember early on in my days when I was on my personal self-development journey, I took that time to invest in myself, to support myself, even though resources were limited. I did things I could within my budget to help and move me further forward. So there's all sorts of those resources for you. Soul Trader book is also there, but there's all sorts of free things, the free podcasts and free webinars to help you. If there's particular topics that you'd like me to cover, then drop me a line, get in touch. You can also visit our Soul Trader Facebook page. If you're running a business or have you, click on that. I've also got an official Rashid Ogunlari page, and you'll find me on Twitter too. So there's all sorts of ways to stay in touch, and on Instagram too. I just want to wish you all the best for this year and for your life overall, to embrace it, to appreciate it, to embrace yourself, to appreciate it, to embrace life itself and everybody else and appreciate that. And these are the qualities that moves life from being where it's full of frustration and friction and fighting and frustration and falling down constantly, to one of flow, fruition, fulfillment, fun. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. Wish you all the best for your year ahead. I'm Rashid Ogunlari. Take good care of yourself. And thank you so much for your time. Happy New Year. Take care. Bye-bye.